Stop. You're looking for a good blade build? Come with me. Let's go. All right, there's so much to unpack here. We're going to go over sword and shield. The reason why I've gone this route. So I went with whirling blade and opportunity. So we get an armor reduction with the rend, and we apply a 10% weapon damage bleed with whirling blade. Went with empowered stab. Heavy attacks grant 30% empower for 5 seconds. This is particularly important if you land a shield bash. If you land a shield bash, you want to roll behind them and get an empowered stab. Like this. Whack, roll, stab, right? Now, successfully hitting with a heavy attack causes you to lose 1 debuff, which is just a beneficial extra thing. Leaping strike, this is like the bread and butter gap closer for the sword. And it lands a stagger. So because it lands a stagger, we can get our whirling blade and land it as we need it. Get the bleed applied to get the combo rolling. It should also apply our arcane dot, our hex. So, final strike, if you hit a foe below 30% health, deal 50% more damage. So you can also use it as a finisher if they're running away. Hit them in the back with this. It's going to crit because it's a backstab, and you're going to get the extra damage, right? Cowardly punishment. On successful hit, inflict 30% slow as well. So we get a slow on top of everything else. Isn't that nutty? Beautiful. Right, moving on. Precision. Sword and shield critical strike chance increase 10%. And mobility. Move 33% faster while blocking. This is great for closing the gap between like casters and bow users. So you want to, I call it block walking. So if they're shooting you, you want to block, 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 block. Try and time it in between shots. And over here, opportunist. Abilities deal 10% more damage to slowed foes. That's where this comes in. So if you happen to land this back or anywhere really, and then hit this, you're getting the extra damage from opportunist as well. Leadership. While holding a sword, the damage of all group members is increased 10%. Nice bonus, especially in arena, OPR, stuff like that. Then, of course, we have the shield bash, which we showed you, which inflicts the stun for 2 seconds. Also has grit. So, I mean, if they're being donkeys, you can just slap them, slap some sense into them. Intimidating bash. Shield bash, greatly increased threat. Don't really care about that right now. What we want is this concussive bash. Stun duration increased by 1 second, which brings it up to 2. We've got sturdy shield. Grants additional 15% physical armor. Reduce damage from all magical types 10%. Sturdy grip. Stamina damage is reduced by 15% when blocking a melee attack with the shield. We've got defensive training. When you block an attack, you gain 20% fortify for 5 seconds. Increases armor. Invigorating Bulwark. Gain 15 stamina when hitting a target with Shield Bash or Shield Rush. Bonus. Okay, let's unpack the spear. Going with Deadly Consistency. 10% increased damage on consecutive heavy attacks against a single target. We got the this talent right here. It's great for breaking shield block. People are blocking heavy attacks, destroy it. And since we do more damage each time we hit, great for breaking down shields. Now, sweep. Sweep the target, dealing 45% weapon damage and causing a knockdown. Synergizes really well with Merciless Strength. Deal 25% increased damage against knockdown targets. Tenacious Sweep. We get grit during the sweep, so we can't be staggered. Quite nice. Can't really be interrupted too much. Coup de Grace. Basic attacks during sweep follow up with a heavy stab that deal 150% weapon damage. This ability here is paired up with our Syncretic Spear. There's a perk on there that we're going to add later called Bleeding Sweep. And it adds 28% weapon damage as bleed. We got Invigorating Crits. Restore 20 stamina on critical hit. Strong Conditioning. Stamina regeneration rate increased 30% when your stamina is below 50%. We got Skewer. Rush forward and skewer your target, dealing 125% weapon damage and applying a bleed. Bleed deals 20% weapon damage every 1 second for 10 seconds. Deadly Ambush. Skewer deals 20% increased damage against targets that have full health. Gain Empower if Skewer critically hits, increasing damage by 20% for 10 seconds. Follow through. We have Deep Wound. Bleed duration increased to 15 seconds. Moving on. We got Refreshing Jab. All spear ability cooldowns are reduced by 10% on the second hit of the light attack chain. We got finishing blows. Deal 15% increased damage against targets with less than 30% health. Do not skip this perk. This perk is too strong. Vault Kick. I like Vault Kick a lot. Vault Kick is a stagger and a stun. It is good for breaking down shields. It's good for setting up a CC to land a sweep or a skewer. This is insane. You can, however, swap it out for Perforate if you're versing more heavy players or PvE enemies. I mean, if you want to take down a boss quicker, Perforate's great because it applies a rend and quite a large rend, especially when you go Rupturing Strikes. So yeah, you can swap these two out if you want. Moving on, Relentless Blows on the Vault Kick. Gain in power after successful hits on targets below 50% health, increasing damage by 20% for 5 seconds. Continuous Motion. Cooldowns of other spear abilities are reduced by 30% on successful hits. So if you've used your sweep and your skewer first, Vault Kick after. I mean, if it pans out that way, PvP is a little bit random. Exposed Wounds. Critical chance is increased by 15% when attacking a bleeding target. This is invaluable as. Next, Exacerbating Crits. Critical hits extend the duration of your spear debuffs by 20%, aka bleeds. This is a must-have as well. Going down to Exploited Weakness. Deal 10% bonus damage for each debuff on your target, max 30%. So since we have a lot of different debuffs on the target, you want Exploited Weakness. In PvP especially. This talent here, Reserve Strength, deal 25% increased damage while stamina is full, is not a viable option in PvP in my opinion, right? Because you're going to be dodging a lot. So we're going to go with Exploited Weaknesses. Right, let's do our rotation now. So we're going to Leap to get our Slow, into the Whirling Blade to get our Bleed up. We're going to swap to Spear. We're going to Sweep. We're going to Skewer. We're going to Light Attack 1, 2. Vault Kick. We're going to have our abilities back up, as you can see. We're going to Sweep again. Skewer. We're looking at our Empower at the bottom. You see the clocks. And we want to have a rotation where we have all the bleeds up with our Arcane Lightning Dots as well for maximum damage. 1, 2, Perforate, Vault Kick. Hit the reset. And you'll see that there's a bleed for 1,268 right now.
Groovy!
So we're getting the Empower from Empowered Stab. So a heavy attack grants 30% Empower. To land this, we're going to use Shield Bash to a roll into a Backstab Empowered heavy attack, right? So we're going to Bash, roll behind, and heavy into the back. You notice it does quite a lot of damage by itself. We also get Empower from our Spear. So if we go into our Spear tree, we get Empower from Follow Through. If Skewer critically hits, you get an extra Empower for 20%. So between these two, if you're fast enough, the Sword and the Spear, we can actually hit Empower Cap. So for anyone that doesn't know, Empower Cap is 50%, and it scales off gear. So in this case, we have Arcane Harnessing, which counts towards Empower Cap. We have the Empowered Elemental Ward Rune Glass, which adds an extra 2% arcane damage, which also counts towards Empower Cap. So if we were to add this all up, we got 4 here, we have 2 here, so we're at 6. This is 10% bonus damage right here, because we got the extra 4 there. Right here, we got 2 and 2. So we are at, 14? And then we got another 2 here, so we're at 16. So our base Empower right now is 16. We're getting the 30. That's 46. So we're nearly at cap right there already. Okay, so be careful not to exceed that limit. All right, let's break down the gear now. So we got Simon's set. The Simon Grey set can be made in the Gypsum Kiln using Dense Mutator Materia. That is the only way to get these pieces. They are named, so you can put them back into the kiln and add a perk of your choice. Mine have just rolled randomly. Featherweight. Featherweight can be attained from near Muir in the Lycian Wilds. Right here on the map, actually. I'll show you now. So right here up the top in the Fungal Ridge. We have a second piece of Simon Grey set. Now, the Simon Grey set comes with health and arcane harnessing, just as base, and you can add stuff to that later or get the random perk, which I've chosen to do here. These pants I found on the marketplace or the trading post, whatever you want to call it, they were 5,000 gold. I think the person who had them didn't know what they had. They had a lot of good stuff on it. So they're pretty good. And I found these just randomly. I don't know where. I need to upgrade these as well. Still searching for a piece to replace these with, but they do have the arcane harnessing on them, which is fine. I haven't put a rune glass in it because it's just not 700 gear score, and I feel like it's just a waste of gold. If you want to get the arcane harnessing, the rune glass, which is called the empowered elemental ward, as I've chosen to go with 2% elemental damage absorption. I ended up going with that because there's too much elemental damage in the game right now, and I can't really choose. I can't decide what one to mitigate right now, so I've just gone with all of them. Moving on to the shield, I went with the Emperor round shield. I got keen, vicious, sturdy energy, and shield aggression on the shield. I actually like the shield a lot. I don't think there's anything I'd rather have for damage. This is pretty good. Moving on, I got the Syncretic Spear. This can be farmed from the named mobs in Brimstone Sands. So we head over to Brimstone Sands, and it is in this little area here. Actually, no, it's not. It's in this little area here. There are named enemies. There's one in the middle, and there's one here and one here. There's also a cat down here. So there's 4 in total for this spot. They drop syncretic gear. Also happens to drop the best bow in the game, which is a syncretic bow. Anyway, moving on. We have the Butcher. This can be obtained from Dynasty Expedition, which is over here. Dynasty Shipyard. Why do we have the Butcher? Because it has bleeds last 33% longer. Works on both weapons. Oh, yes, it does. So, the Butcher's very good. It also comes with Jagged Whirls. Whirling Blade inflicts 10% weapon damage for 6 seconds, and Empowering Whirling Blade. When 3 or more enemies are within its radius, performing Whirling Blade attack gain 52% base damage. This one here, the Empowering Whirling Blade's better in PvE. There's not a lot of opportunity where you'd get to use that in PvP. You're very squishy. You're more like a skirmisher. You want to get to the back lines and kill archers and mages and stuff like that. But yeah. Moving on to the Heart Rune. We got Stone Form. Mine's maxed out. I ended up going with Mending Form, which heals you for 75% of the damage per second while active. Reduces outgoing damage, but we don't care about that. So the survivability thing, and the main reason why I have this one is for 5 seconds of CC reduction. So you'll see that it cleanses crowd control, basically. Yeah, which is very nice. Moving on down to our amulet, we got the Tanglevine amulet. I went with the Thrust Ward on it, and refreshing. I originally wanted to go with Shirking Dot Cleanse, but it was bugged at the time, so I didn't get to use it. I do recommend Shirking Dot Cleanse, though. It's pretty strong. However, having it max refreshing on gear with the spear could be absolutely insane. Just getting that extra cooldown. Nice. And also with all the bows, spears, rapiers, blunderbusses, especially in the game right now, this is a really good option. Red Hot Slag. This is a ring that you get from the Forge. the Emprian Forge Expedition. I re-rolled this one to have arcane damage on it, but it comes with Hardy and Bloodletting. Bloodletting is amazing for the bleed build. It extends, I think with the extra Bloodletting, my bleeds are lasting about 2 to 3 seconds longer than normal, which is quite a amount. It's like extra ticks, which is quite nice. And this might be controversial, but I actually like the Endless Thirst. I think it's really good. The bonus is healing consumables are 33% stronger, but healing, but the potion cooldown is longer, so it's 25% longer, right? And on this, I actually added the perk Regenerating, which I think is the best in slot for the earring anyway. I don't think you get much better than that. And it's also quite nice to have Empowered Toast and Fortifying Toast. So you actually get more damage and take less damage when you use the potion for 8 seconds. Which is super strong, I think anyway. I think it's quite nice. So that's the gear breakdown. Aside from the fact that I forgot to mention that with Syncretic Spear, if we scroll down, I added Bleeding Sweep. This is a key component to the bleed build, of course. So you get 28% of the weapon damage for 8 seconds as a bleed. If you don't have it on the weapon, it will do half the amount. So it's about, 14% on armor, which of course isn't as great. But that being said, that's the gear broken down. Aim for, if you can get it, if you want to re-roll this, I recommend Shirking Energy with a combination of Elemental Aversion, I think, the meta right now. A lot of elemental damage. It's disgusting. Especially the Bolt Caster. I mean, you can get 3-shot with that at the moment, so yeah, I think Elemental Aversion is pretty strong. But yeah, that's the gear. Alright, attributes. 100 strength. We got 5% light attack damage. 10% heavy attack damage. Physical damage increased 10%. This is for the bleeds. Dexterity 363, just because of magnified disparity. 5% critical hit chance. 5% damage while at full health. 5% damage while stamina is not full. 15% duration to damage over time effects. This one is key. You got 10% bonus backstab and headshot damage. You got gain 10% in power for 3 seconds after successfully dodging. And weapon swapping will cleanse all stun and root crowd control status effects, 30-second cooldown. This perk, this talent right here, is OP. 15% crit chance while empowered. We're empowered quite a bit, so crit chance should not be an issue. Moving down, we got focus, 5% ability cooldown reduction, which is huge to get off more CC, more abilities. It's all about crowd control this build. Then our constitution is all health consumables are 10% stronger. We got 10% physical armor when at or above 50% health. Increase max health by 10%. And 50 encumbrance. Who cares about that? So the food of choice is banana parfait. And that concludes attribute. Right, artists, we got to beat this dog. He's after me. Oh, I'm running. Go for his teammate. That guy. Yep, he's dead. Get him. Yes, dude. He's after me. No, he's after the other guy. die from bleeds. Yep. Going back to the Twitch guy. Bleeding. Nice. Nice. Got him. Coming back to you. Yes, dude. We got him. Thank you very much for watching. If you guys have any questions at all, leave them in the comments down below. Other than that, enjoy your day/night, and I'll see you later.